Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I love seeing some familiar names here in today's workshop. We're going to be painting with broad strokes today. I want to kind of put that out there. Talking about marketing foundations versus talking about intricate technical details and software technology. So this should be fun and easy to follow along with. Let's go ahead and jump into what I'd like to call the 10 foundations that you must have in place in order to become the best known remodeler in your area. If you've been following me at all, you know that my goal is to help as many remodelers, builders, and contractors as possible to create as much success as they can for their respective companies. And today's workshop should give you some great ideas to think about. But not just to think about. I want you guys implementing things that you learned today. So not just thinking, but being tactical and taking some action steps. That's the goal for today. If I may ask, let's get focused today so that you can take away some action items that you can actually implement in your business. That way, you're not just randomly listening while answering emails or browsing the internet, and then you don't end up taking away any action items after we're done today. And also, please, post comments or questions in chat if anything crosses your mind. If you have any questions, I love seeing people engaged, and I'll gladly answer any questions along the way. Who is Home Remodeler SEO? You've probably been following me for a while. We've been doing webinars and putting on a lot of educational content for years now. But Home Remodeler SEO, we're associate members for the major remodeling and building associations across the country, the NAHB, NARI, as well as the NKBA. I'm also the author of the book Internet Marketing for Contractors and Builders, How to Triple Your Revenue by Getting Your Marketing Right. This is all we do. We work with builders, remodelers, and home improvement companies. So we really understand what's going on, what challenges that you're facing, what messaging that you need, that sort of thing. And one small tidbit about me is I learned how to code way back in the late 80s. So I've been around computer technology for quite some time now. There's a lot of experience that comes with me and our whole team that we've got put together. But this is really what we do. We help remodelers, builders, and contractors increase their brand awareness and visibility, and thus help you increase your sales opportunities in order to grow your revenue. We don't work with every industry out there like most marketing companies do. We focus on perfecting our craft just like you do in order to move the remodeling industry forward. So, real quick, our agenda for today. First, we're going to talk about the marketing strategy and framework for this concept. I want to give you 10 action steps that are essentially the foundational steps that you have to have in place for a comprehensive marketing plan. We'll also talk about the steps to implement. I'll share some freebies with you, and then I'll open it up to any questions that you might have. This is for people who really need to know where their starting point is. And I just want to be honest that this is not super high level marketing that we're going to be talking about today. That's why I call it marketing foundations. So if that's what you're coming to this webinar for, really high level, deep technical stuff, that's not what we're going to be going over today. This is really where you need to start. And you really need to have these 10 things in place for your marketing foundation. Sound good? Great. I see Phil said, yep, let's go. All right. So first, let's talk about the 7 levels of marketing, which is a framework I learned from my good friend, Chris Rodriguez. These are the 7 marketing strategies that you need to be implementing at all times. In other words, you shouldn't just be focusing 1 month on Google ads and then the next month focusing on Facebook ads perhaps, and then the next month you're only focused on maybe face-to-face marketing and setting up a booth at the local home show. These 7 levels of marketing or marketing channels are basically different fishing lines that you have out in the ocean. If you're going fishing and you have 1 fishing pole and I have 7 fishing poles, I'm going to catch more fish than you. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I see home improvement contractors make. They put all their eggs in one basket. They're hoping this one marketing strategy is going to bring them 20 or 30 leads or sold jobs in a month. And if it doesn't work immediately, now they have zero opportunities to work with. I'd rather you have multiple marketing strategies that can bring in a few clients from each of those strategies every month, consistency. I really like the visual of the pyramid because as you go through these levels of marketing, the sweat equity becomes more and more evident. If I asked all of you, would you rather just post on social media, maybe put up a couple of Facebook posts, or do you want to set up a booth and spend the entire weekend at the local home show and sit there for 8 hours a day? You're going to tell me that you would much rather just do some social media post and call it good, right? It's much easier, right? However, the face to face interactions, jumping on the phone, using print marketing, investing in SEO, and excelling on Google Maps, these are going to provide you better quality leads. And that's why I like this visual of the pyramid, because that face to face marketing is the most powerful. It requires the most sweat equity, but it is the most powerful in bringing in quality leads. Um, so have your organic social media. That means posting and not having to pay for it. Facebook or your Google business profile or on Instagram, also on YouTube. And now you've got TikTok, which is a conversation for another day. But when I start saying organic social media, it just means you're posting and you're not putting any money behind it. And then the second level is your SEO and especially your Google business profile, what we call Google Maps marketing, probably the most underutilized platforms. I've done previous trainings on SEO and on Google Maps marketing. So if you haven't updated your knowledge base in a while, go to our YouTube channel and check out those webinar recordings, and you can focus in on that a little bit more because they are very important. The third one is paid ads, such as Facebook ads, Google ads, and then you also have advertising on TikTok that I mentioned, but that's not something I'm going to really sold on at this point, mainly due to the age demographic of TikTok users not aligning with the age demographic of homeowners. So most of you know with Facebook, when you run a Facebook ad, you can set it to show your ad to specific people with specific interests or within specific zip codes or a specific mile of radius, basically what we refer to as hyper targeting. That can be very effective as well, and that's why we use it. Fourth is your email and text messaging. That is something that should be a part of your monthly marketing, whether you're emailing and texting to your customers to help stay top of mind, or you're emailing and texting to your prospects to help turn them into new customers. And this needs to be a consistent monthly strategy. Consistency here is the key. Print marketing is not dead either. By print marketing, I mean postcards and direct mail because people are bombarded online so much that print marketing can be a viable option. Even simply doing a print mailing for a holiday or two can be enough to really keep you top of mind for your consumers and help you stand out amongst all the noise out there. It's not going to be your highest ROI, but I know that I get printed postcards from landscapers, remodelers, HVAC companies. And personally, I save those for when I know I'm going to be in the market for their services at some point. Again, though, this may not be for everybody, and you definitely have to have the budget to be spending money on print when there are certainly other marketing strategies that we're talking about here that will be more effective for you, more cost efficient as well. And then you always have this thing called a phone. Number six is probably everybody's least favorite when I talk to business owners and I ask how many of them enjoy making follow-up sales calls. Most business owners say they don't enjoy doing that. Heck, I feel the same way, which is why you should have an office manager or a sales manager that can do that for you. But one of the things you've got to remember is just because somebody requested information on your company, or even if they did a consult with you, it doesn't mean that they're ready to buy right then and there. A home remodel is a big decision, and most prospective customers are going to need several follow-up touch points. The sales follow up is where I see most business owners failing, especially for companies that have been living off of referrals, which close at nearly 100% rate and require very little in the way of sales follow up. Staying top of mind is key when we know that this buying decision may take some time. There is a customer journey that people go on. And this is why the phone needs to be a part of their marketing that you're doing. Actually picking up the phone and calling your older leads and keeping them in your funnel. Sending them text, emails with current projects that you're working on, maybe sending them a new customer testimonial that you've just received, and then interspersing phone calls in that follow up sales workflow. And then finally, face to face marketing, the most powerful in person marketing that you can do, building that relationship, but you also have to work at that a little more. So, that is the framework for what we're really going to be talking about today. These are the main frustrations that I get the most feedback on. I see people just struggle with online marketing, right? I started working and writing code on my computer when I was in high school. But for a lot of you, maybe you didn't grow up with a computer or haven't had much interest in figuring out this whole internet thing and automation and all these software technologies. The internet might not even have been around while you were growing up, perhaps. The platforms are constantly changing too. There are new platforms that are constantly coming and going, and then you also may just not know where to start. And that's what today is all about. This is where you need to start, these marketing foundations. Yeah, I've had some really fortunate experiences with our clients and being able to see business owners implement several or all of the 7 levels of marketing and having an actual marketing budget to do so. One thing that always jumps out at me is that when business owners, when I ask them what percentage of their revenue should be spent on marketing, most cannot answer that question. The generic answer that you're going to find is going to be around 5 to 7% of your revenue. But we have uber successful clients that spend as much as 10% of their total revenue on their marketing, which is also the reason why they are into 8 figures of annual revenue. So if you're doing like 50,000 a month in sales, then 10% is 5 grand going towards your marketing. And it also depends on where you're at, whether you're in a growth cycle where you're trying to get into your business, really get it ramped up, or maybe you're already well established and doing more like that 100 grand in monthly revenue, maybe even more, and thus your marketing spend should be closer to 10 grand a month. We work with companies of all sizes, from companies that we've helped crack the $1 million mark for the first time in their company's history, which is always a really fun milestone for us to be a part of, to other companies that are doing 10, 20, or even 30 million in annual sales. We've helped companies go from startup to over 10 million in sales and do that in under 3 years. So hyper growth, hyper aggressive. These super aggressive clients of ours, they basically went all in on the 7 levels of marketing, and the results bear that out. You need to be investing in different channels of marketing, as well as always tracking each one of those sources as best you can to figure out which channels, which marketing sources are working best for you and getting you the best ROI. When you get your marketing really dialed in, the sky is the limit to really what you can achieve. So let's go ahead and dive into these 10 action steps that I talked about. So, number one, and again, guys, I told you this is foundational. So, do you have a Facebook business page set up, and are there some recent posts on there? Or is your Facebook page a ghost town? I don't think it can get any more elementary than that. But you would be surprised at how many companies still don't post on social media. This is the way of the world, folks. It's not changing. You're going to have to kind of get with the times, I like to say. You're almost better off not having a Facebook business page than having people find your page and see that you're posting like one time a year. It really makes you seem irrelevant versus, oh, we just haven't got around to setting up a page instead of setting up a page and then doing nothing. Kind of makes you seem lazy or maybe like a procrastinator, traits that people don't really want to see in the company that they're going to invest, $500,000 with on a big remodel. Okay, so you have to have a Facebook business page, but really important here, do you as the owner of the company actually have access to your Facebook business page? We've started working with a lot of business owners over the years that thought they held ownership of their page, but then realized that some previous marketing company or some employee that is no longer around is the person that set up the page and actually has ownership of it. In this case, essentially, you do not have access to your own Facebook business page, and you're not the owner of that company page. You don't want to find yourself in this situation. We've come across this situation countless times. So get out in front of this. If you're in this situation right now, you need to own your own business Facebook page and have admin access to that page, especially if you're going to grant user access to a new marketing company to help you with that page at some point in the future. I know this might sound basic, but it happens all the time. And we have a lot of people on this webinar that are all in very different stages of growth with their companies. So this may or may not apply to you. You can also grant admin access to someone in your organization that you trust in order for them to help you with this. This is also important in case you get locked out of your account or your account gets flagged by Facebook for unknown reasons. At least this person could then help you with Facebook support or even keep your weekly posts churning out while you're locked out, which we have also encountered this situation with previous customers. If there was an award for the worst customer support, Facebook would win this award hands down. There is literally nobody worse at customer service than Facebook. So this is not a situation that you want to find yourself in, being locked out of your own Facebook page. It could be a nightmare. Trust me, we've heard and helped people through some of the worst situations. And then also make sure you have two-step factor authentication turned on. This is a must. This is how hackers get in when you don't have that set up. You can do that by going to settings in your Facebook admin portal. And it's basically anytime that you're trying to log into Facebook from a device or a computer that it doesn't recognize, it's going to send you a text message, and then you have to input that code that they give you. So I cannot emphasize enough that you have to protect yourself from Facebook hackers. They are out there. These hackers will try to sabotage your account or even run up advertising bills into the tens of thousands of dollars, and you're going to be on the hook for that. Facebook is usually not very lenient on that. So the inconvenience of having to receive and input a code from your phone is well worth the protection that it offers your account. Besides having that Facebook business page set up and protected, posting 3 times per week to stay relevant for followers and potential customers, as well as doing Facebook Live events, making sure that you're creating events and getting better engagement that way. Anytime you're doing a community event, you need to create an event on Facebook. Ideally, you want to put some money behind it and boost those posts, those events as well. You have the ability to create offers on your Facebook business page. And obviously, we always want to try to get recommendations. But at the base level, make sure you have a Facebook business page that you're utilizing. Remember, we live in a very social media centric world nowadays. Social media, love it or hate it, it's part of everyday life now. Okay, next up is your Google Business Profile page. When is the last time that you updated this page? Hopefully, you've at least claimed it. We still see people that haven't claimed their Facebook or their Google Business Profile. If you have not, go to business.google.com and get your business listing set up. There are 5 areas that you need to focus on when it comes to your Google business profile page. So let's go over those real quick. You have to have your contact information accurate and up to date, as well as be utilizing keywords that people would potentially use in order to find your business. Make sure you have accurate hours listed. And very importantly, is that you want to have photos on there, updated photos too, constantly and consistently updating your listing with new photos. We suggest adding those photos at a minimum on a monthly basis, but preferably as you're adding new photos every week with progress along projects you're working on, finished projects, etc. You also need to be posting on your Google business profile platform. This is supposed to be a social platform after all. And then most importantly, you have to have reviews on your listing. The more, the better. And make sure you're responding to your reviews as well, thanking the customer for taking the time to share some kind words about you and your company. That's mission critical. Google wants to see that engagement. This is also how other potential customers that are looking at you, they realize that, hey, you're nice, considerate people. You'd be good to work with. My goal for you would be to have at least 50 reviews, and even into the triple digits is even better since many of your competitors have that many. I've seen companies with hundreds of reviews, 700 reviews. Maybe you're not doing high enough volume to ever achieve that, but look at what your competitors are doing and then try to beat them. That's really what it's all about. When you're in the triple digits for Google reviews, it really sets you apart from almost all, if not all, other remodeling businesses, because most home improvement companies have two, three, maybe 5 or 10 reviews, and that's it. When you have 100, you're going to get the first at bat, meaning people are going to click on your listing first. You're really going to stand out like a neon light for them. And if you were on last month's webinar that we did, you might remember the company that gets the first crack at a sales opportunity is the company that wins generally between 50 and 75% of all the bids. So let that sink in when you think about, wow, how do I generate the first phone call from that consumer? Next is whether you're utilizing an industry standard website that can attract and wow visitors when they land on your website. We highly recommend building your website on WordPress because not only is it the most popular customer management system out there, it also gives you the ability to add on a lot of what are called plugins, which are add-ons that help you really effectively optimize your website in terms of SEO strategies that will help your website pass the Google algorithm test. What I suggest is that you definitely don't use those free website builders like GoDaddy sites and some others like that, because they are super simple and they don't have the capability to really build a good SEO foundation for your website. They're for startup companies that are just making their first 3-page website. They are not going to get you ranked on page 1 of Google. I can guarantee you that. Never seen a Google basic website ranked number 1. So remember, companies like GoDaddy, they specialize in website hosting, offering free, wimpy websites. It's just a way for them to create stickiness and keep you as a customer. One thing you want to be focusing on is making sure that your website has the ability for you to collect info from your site visitors, such as name, email, and phone number. And typically we use a lead magnet in order to get that information. A lead magnet is where if you give us your information, you opt into something, we're going to give you access to our schedule, or we're going to give you maybe an access to like a PDF or an ebook of my book I've written on how to choose, like a PDF that how to choose the best remodeler for your needs, things that are really educational that can help people in their decision making, in their research process. how to plan their remodel based on your current budget, something like that that people will opt into, something of value for them, in other words. That's how we use lead magnets, and you should be using those in the same way. We've had new clients come to us with websites that look like they were built 10, 20 years ago, maybe by their 12-year-old second cousin or something. No offense, but that's just not going to get the job done when it comes to wow and site visitors on the type of work that you can showcase on your website. You want a high performing website. You want to make sure it's mobile optimized, mobile friendly. Most of your customers are finding you on their mobile devices. So having a mobile ready, mobile optimized website's really key. It's that, that whole saying about first impressions last a lifetime. You only get one chance to make a first impression, right? Next up, are you properly tracking visitors to your website? Do you have the Facebook pixel and the Google conversion code installed on your website? The Facebook pixel and the Google conversion code, they're really just pieces of website code that if you copy and paste into the header portion of your website, now those different platforms can interact with your website and help you track those visitors. In terms of Facebook tracking on your website, you want the pixel on your website in order to track visitors coming from any Facebook advertising that you might be doing. And this could be seasonal offers that you're promoting, or maybe you're offering those lead magnets that we talked about just a second ago, which are guides or white papers that offer value to the consumer. Advertising on Facebook can bring you more opportunities, but the main things with that are that advertising costs per lead have increased on Facebook over the years. And they've also changed their platform to where people on iPhones can opt out of being tracked. So that's also cut down on some conversions a little bit. You can still track Android phone users once they come from Facebook to your website. So not all is lost here. You can still track iPhone users unless they've opted out, which a lot of people may not have taken the time or even know how to do that. But it still works. Facebook does work. We still advertise on Facebook, and that always brings us more opportunities each and every month. Another important aspect to effective use on Facebook advertising, to make sure that you're advertising from your business page and using what is called your business manager ad account. In other words, as a remodeling business, you don't want to be advertising from your personal account. By using a personal ad account, you are limited in some of the targeting options that your business ad account could afford you, like that hyper targeting that I mentioned earlier. One of the cool things is that you can take your email list that you've been accumulating over the years. You are doing that, right? And upload that list in order to create an audience of people that you can advertise to that matches your audience, that your email list audience. And so then what you can also do is create what's called a lookalike audience, which is matching your custom email list and those people's characteristics and interests, and then find more people with those same characteristics. So, an example would be targeting people that are homeowners or targeting people of a certain age group. In other words, targeting people that would probably be in that home buyer category and not 20-year-olds. Or targeting people that follow remodeling and home improvement concepts and trends, those sort of things. Those are people that would probably be in the market for a remodel at some point. So there's some really cool things that you can do with targeting that not only helps you zero in on your target audience, that ideal target audience of yours, that ideal customer, but it also helps you cut down on advertising waste and the higher costs associated with not targeting people that are essentially not your ideal customer. Next up, let's talk about technology for the sake of sales nurture. Now, sales nurture is an often overlooked part of the sales process. Unfortunately, we see that all too often. Do you have the proper technology in your business for collecting emails and phone numbers, thus making it easy to send out regular communication to your customers and your prospects? Basically, I'm asking you, do you have a CRM that makes it easy for you to collect information and to send out information on your own? There are a handful of well-known industry-specific CRMs out there. You see this question asked all the time in association groups and Facebook groups, right? What's the best CRM out there? People kind of have those discussions, those threads going. And you're going to see, some discussions around Job Tread as well as Builder Trend, which used to be Co-Construct, and then some other CRMs out there. They all have good features and benefits. You really need to figure out the one that's going to work best for you and your remodeling business and your needs, right? Believe it or not, there are remodeling business owners, and there might be some on this call that do not have a CRM. We have some clients, in fact, that we can't get away from using a yellow pad and pen for their CRM. And yes, that is true. I'm not making that up. We try and try, and they're just not going to evolve. We'll keep trying, but really, folks, CRMs and marketing automation can really make your job so much easier. Other folks may just be using a spreadsheet to track customers and prospects, while others are simply using Gmail to send out emails manually, one by one. So I urge you to give your data accumulation and data tracking a better system, a better way of running your customer management. So, what are the 3 follow-up sequences that you need to have set up with your email marketing on a continuous basis? One of my favorite ones is a new member nurture sequence. So when you sign on a new customer for a new remodel job that you're going to be doing, they would get a nurture sequence of emails and or texts that are basically in line with the customer journey that they're now on with you and your company. This is something we've been doing here at Home Remodeler SEO for several years now. And what we do was we created dozens of emails, and our new clients get like 1 email a week on average. And we did this for everything that the client will be experiencing with us along their customer journey with us. Basically, we're sending emails about what they're going through. So, for example, we might start with an email about what they can expect over the next few weeks, what different initiatives we'll be working on, what information we may require of them, that sort of thing. And the beauty of these dozens of emails that are going out is that they're going out automatically with no effort on our part. And they all still get personalized with their names because of form field tokens that can be used with CRMs. They sound like personal emails, but they're automated. And you can really help set your own customer expectations in the same way. This will greatly improve your communication and the relationship with your customers. Trust me, folks, your customers will love this sort of communication, this consistency that they're getting from you, as well as knowing that you're really up on the latest in digital technology. You're kind of hip, as the kids might say. And the other type of nurture sequence that you need to have is a prospective customer nurture sequence. So we're talking about prospective customers, people that are in your your internet world right now. They just haven't signed on. Just because somebody opts into your newsletter or asks for your kitchen remodeling white paper doesn't mean that they're ready to buy. So you need to have an ongoing sequence that sends them out educational content from time to time. Also, maybe has incentives in there to encourage them to move forward with going ahead and booking that job. You can also show them pictures of projects that you're currently working on or that you've recently completed so that they can see the level of craftsmanship and design that you guys are putting out. You can add in a couple of recent testimonials from other clients, especially if you have a testimonial video that one of your clients shot for you that you can now feature in an email. And then finally, the third email sequence you need is a promotional campaign, which we call a database reactivation campaign. So basically, a data reactivation campaign is a series of emails and text messages that are used for previous customers or people that previously opted in sometime in the past. One of the really interesting things that you can do is go into your CRM, and when you have somebody that enrolls, most CRMs will tell you when their first point of contact with you was. And many times that first point of contact, it might have been a year ago or more. But if you have things like this prospective nurture sequence, and you can continue to do things like promotional blast, a holiday offers or just updates, you're staying in front of them because you're in their inbox now. And when they're ready to buy, you've put in this work, you're staying top of mind for them, right? And so they're going to remember you before they decide to just go pick some random company. Remember, not everyone is ready to move forward with such a big and costly decision to remodel their home, on the first point of contact. So you want to stay in their mental Rolodex. That's where people go first when it's time, finally time to move forward. They don't go to Google first. They go in their mental Rolodex and they think, do I know anybody that can help me solve this problem? And when you have these promotional campaigns and you have these nurture email sequences set up, and you're in front of them on a consistent basis, when they're ready to pull the trigger, they're going to give you that first crack at bat, right? And now you've got a 50 to 75% chance to close that lead because you got the first crack at it. One trick that you can use here too is to employ these promotional campaigns around the holidays. And in that manner, you're kind of disguising your marketing activity with a holiday so that it helps break up all the other marketing activity that you have going on. It seems more like a holiday thing as opposed to yet another email from you about marketing or, about moving forward with a job or whatever. And so now talking about your sales follow-up processes, have you created scripts for the people that are responsible for following up with your leads? And note, I use the word script here loosely. You don't want to sound like someone is reading from a script, sounding robotic, but they do need a framework for what they are saying and what to include in each conversation, as well as some things that you don't want them saying. That's why I use the word script. It gives someone in your office a good guide to follow and to help keep follow-up conversations consistent. They have to be able to wing it a bit too in order to include rapport building into these conversations. But the key here is having a system in place before you start putting marketing dollars behind your strategies. Now, automations are a good way to fill in the gaps. Highly, highly recommend them. But you should also not solely rely on automation. There has to be that human touch that's involved as well. So, do you have some sort of framework for the phone call? And do you have some form of a framework for the sales process in your company overall? Who is involved in every step of that sales process? Who does what and on what timeline? If not, put this at the top of your to-do list. The bottom line is to have somebody that can take those leads and can turn them into appointments for you. If you really want to make sure your sales follow-up system is dialed in, and notice I emphasize system, the one thing that you can do is some role playing, which can be a bit scary for some of you out there. But once you provide those scripts to your employees, you get to observe them, you get to practice with them now, because that's really the only way that they're going to get better at it. If you're relying on them to do that, it's going to help you get better as well. But I would definitely not start pouring money into your marketing if you don't have a system in place to be able to convert those leads into paying customers. Another important aspect to your sales process is having a consistent range of printed materials that you use in your marketing. One of the most important pieces of printed material that you can have is what we like to call the leave behind. This is the packet that you leave behind after you've done the on-site consult with the prospective customer at their home. This packet or folder, you should have a nice welcome letter, an intro letter that talks about you and your company. It should also feature some glossy photos of projects that you completed, which you can even customize to match the type of project you might know this particular customer is interested in. Yeah, and make sure these are high quality glossy photos, not something that your $99 at-home printer is spitting out with poor print quality or in black and white. Another thing you can do is have a list of customer testimonials in there as well. This serves as great social proof for the quality of work that you're doing, the attention to detail, and your great customer service. Just real quick, can I get a show of hands if you have a leave behind for your job consultations? Just type yes or no in the chat box. Uh, I'd love to see how many folks have this as part of their sales process, have this dialed in. Um, so I'm seeing some yeses. John says yes. Marty says yes. Linda says no, but we need that. Yeah. Now you know, Linda, get it going. So, exactly. Most people are saying yes. So some great feedback. I appreciate you guys, really jumping in there and giving me some engagement. Hopefully, this has you thinking about getting this put together if you don't already have that. A lot of you might be wondering how to do this if you're not a graphic designer or if you feel you don't have really the creative brain for this. I see a couple designers I know here on the webinar today. So you probably have some really nice materials put together. But for everyone else, there's no need for you to reinvent the wheel. There are some really great websites out there like Canva that make it a lot easier if you're going to do this on your own. They have a lot of templates that can use, or at least just get inspiration from. Make sure to include your branding and your branding colors on everything too. You want customers to always recognize your brand ad, to get used to seeing that branding, creating that muscle memory, so to speak. You also want to align your print materials around your social calendar, in other words. Make sure to have printed materials or packets for all the events that you might be doing throughout the year, such as having a booth set up at trade shows, or if you're hosting any association events at your location, your showroom. You might also want to have games for people to play. If you're at a trade show, such as the spin to win or game, or things that really attract more people to your booth, get more engagement. Not only do games like this attract people to your booth, but you use this as a means to collect people's contact info. For example, they might input their contact info into a digital form that you've created in order to take their turn at spinning the wheel. Also, make sure these materials align with your social media posting schedule, which of course you'll be doing to promote your event. I think one of the big mistakes that a lot of people make when they go to these trade shows and they set up these booths is that they're trying to sell too much. But very few people are going to these events because they're ready to buy something that day. You have to utilize this time to build rapport face to face with that prospective customer, which is super powerful. Get to know them a little bit and then collect their information somewhere along that conversation or as the conversation's ending. And when it comes to collecting information from prospective customers at trade shows and similar types of association events, make sure you're using a digital form. You can create a simple Google form or similar, and then use something handy like an iPad to host that form. I suggest this because if you're using a pad and pen, not only is that a bit antiquated, but you're also taking the risk of later having trouble making out an illegible name or email or phone number. And if you really have your automation dialed in by this point, that form can be tied into your CRM. And then once a person at the event inputs their contact info, it could trigger an instant email and or a text message to the prospective customer, something along the lines of, nice to meet you at, so and so event, just dot dot dot. Instantly they're getting that. They're like, oh, that's cool. Hey, they had me walked away from their booth. They're like, oh, you got your text. Cool. So that's something, short and sweet, but it really cool, really shows that you're up on technology. Now that you have this automated workflow going, that can add them into your nurture workflow and, that we just spoke about. And now that kind of triggers everything for you. And then, of course, most importantly, call them once the event is over. So hopefully that helps give some ideas and some action items to get started on when it comes to automation and sales follow-up. Also, I recently did another webinar specifically on sales follow-up and automation. So I would suggest taking some time to check that out on our YouTube channel because it really goes deep into unpacking how effective sales automation can truly be and how it can really help you close more sales for your business. So, once you have these 10 foundational items in place, you've now unlocked a new level of possibilities. And with a new level in your business, there's a new challenge, and that is now you have to start driving traffic to these different marketing channels. From all these marketing channels and opportunities that come through, you now have to break down advertising into sprints and a marathon. And what I mean by that is focus on a 90-day sprint so that you have these short-term goals to focus on and achieve, implementing some of these things from today's webinar, and then celebrate those victories along the way with your team. But also keep in mind that this is also a marathon. This is a long-term play, that you have long-term goals that you're striving for as well. Just like financial advisors, talk about that 1 year savings goal that you need to have. They also talk about midterm and long-term retirement goals. You should have short-term and long-term goals in your remodeling business just as well. And then adjust those long-term goals as needed based on how you're achieving those short-term goals. And if you need to make some adjustments, maybe move the timetable up, maybe push it out a little bit. Depending on where you're at with your remodeling business, maybe the sprint means not advertising 10% of your revenue on marketing right now. Maybe that comes in later with your long-term goals. Or maybe that level of advertising really never becomes a part of your plan. Or maybe you're in growth mode and you really want to be aggressive with your marketing. Then you need to go into the sprint mode and make sure those 90-day sprints are aggressive and that you're implementing everything you can to keep achieving your short-term goals. If you're in growth mode and looking to be aggressive, that's when you go into the pay to play mode. By that, I mean you're going to be focusing on paid advertising versus just organic marketing. Paid advertising, the pay per click, it will get you there quicker, but it's also going to come at a price too, right? It's going to cost you more for your marketing dollars. And all this really depends on what your goals are and the timelines that you've set for those goals. What are the dreams that you have for your company, for the life that you want to live with your families based on how much money your company's bringing in, and the opportunities that you're able to provide your team as well? What are all of those goals and dreams? There's always a decision that we have to make in our business. Am I going to implement the time and energy to do it myself, or am I going to spend the money and hire it out to other people? And that could even be hiring somebody in-house to help manage your own marketing efforts there in-house. If you have multiple locations for your business, maybe this makes more sense to keep things in-house as long as you hire a really good qualified person to handle everything. Interviewing and asking the right questions will be crucial for that in-house hire. So do your homework so that you know that you're hiring the right person by asking the right questions. But you as the CEO, unless you just absolutely love running Facebook ads and Google ads and doing social media and posting and all that, this is something I do believe you should outsource in some way. I hope you're not doing your own accounting books. I hope that you have an accountant that is doing your books for you, unless you have a degree in accounting, of course. Not only will you keep telling yourself that you'll get around to the social media posts that you keep putting off, that you'll commit to studying your website analytics and deciphering trends more so, that you'll commit to analyzing your paid ads dashboard and really seeing what's working and what's not. When in fact, you're engaged in running your business and you'll actually never get around to any of those marketing tasks when it comes down to it. That's kind of what Michael Gerber talks about in the E Myth, working on your business or working in your business. Such an important concept if you haven't read that book. Okay, so I have a couple freebies for you to help you get some of these basics in order. Remember, it's all about starting with a good foundation, just like building a house. You got to have a good foundation, or your house is not going to stay standing. First, I'd like to offer you a free digital copy of my book. This book will help you think about all the foundational aspects of your digital marketing. You can also buy the hard copy on Amazon, or ping me here in chat if you want me to just send you one. And then I also have an online marketing checklist that you can download. This will also help make sure you get the basics in order when it comes to your website and your digital presence. So hopefully you've made note of these links here, and I'll move on. Uh, as I said before, this workshop is about foundational aspects that you need to implement or think about implementing for your remodeling business. I know most people are far along on getting their digital marketing dialed in, but every month I have business owners coming to me with some obvious problems that they're overlooking. So that was the impetus for this workshop, just trying to start with the foundations. So, what questions do you have for me? I know a lot of stuff was foundational, but just like building a home, it's important to get your foundation installed correctly. If you skip focusing on these foundational elements, you're only setting yourself up for future failure at some point down the road. Um, Justin just asked if he should start PPC before getting his SEO in order. So the answer, Joseph, really comes down to where you're at with your goals and your budget. If you're in a desperate need for lead opportunities, you're already behind the eight ball to begin with. Starting up SEO is going to take some time, and depending on your geographical market and level of competition, as well as if you have a good website with some foundational SEO or you don't, you could be in for a ramp up period of a couple months to maybe several months with SEO. PPC, on the other hand, can bring you leads quicker, but it will definitely take a substantial budget to get that working properly. Also, if you haven't established a good online reputation, that's going to work against you for both PPC and SEO. People aren't as apt to choose a company to work with if you don't have any reviews, and that goes for all your marketing. That reputation really matters a lot. Margot, she just asked which CRM I would recommend for better sales follow-up. So, Margot, I briefly mentioned some of the more popular CRMs for the construction and remodeling industries earlier in the webinar, but I'm not in a position to personally endorse any specific CRM. I say do your research, talk to their reps, take a spin through their demo programs, and find the one that works best for you and your needs. And realize that you may end up switching at some point, and that's okay. Maybe it will be viewed as some wasted time, but think of it as a learning experience. Whatever you do, though, get a CRM and start using it. The days of sales follow-up and using a yellow pad or a spreadsheet are mostly long gone, or at least should be. Marcus asked about marketing. if his office location is in an area that doesn't really fit the profile of his ideal customer avatar, his ideal buyer, in other words. So, Marcus, you're kind of stuck there. My question would be, why do you have an office in that area of town if it's not your ideal customers that live there? Are you located there because it's cheap rent, but now you're putting your marketing at risk? Or has the area, drastically changed over the years? Maybe you've been there forever. Um, you have to make the choice to stay there and realize that your Google Maps marketing and your SEO efforts are never really going to reach out far enough to reach those neighborhoods where your ideal customers are, those ideal neighborhoods that you want to target, that probably maybe are more affluent. Or you can rely exclusively on paid advertising like Google pay per click or Facebook ads to reach whatever areas you want with that hyper targeting that we talked about. But you're going to have to make the tough decision to move into an area of greater affluence, is my guess. Not necessarily, but that's probably going to be a good route for you to think about. It's maybe it's a tough decision to move. Maybe it's not so tough after all. So I hope that helps you think about it. Um, any other questions before we wrap up? Okay, Simon. Simon just asked if we do website audits. Yes, Simon, we do. You can input your info in chat. If you want us to take a look at your website and offer suggestions on things that you can improve upon, there's no cost, there's no obligation. But if you want some guidance going forward, we'd love to help, give you a leg up on the competition. Or you can reach out to me via our website, either use the contact form or just, give us a call. And then one last question here before I'll wrap up here. It's coming up on top of the hour. Catherine just asked, how many follow-up emails should she be sending after doing a design consultation? Good question, Catherine. One thing I can tell you is that the law of marketing and sales says it takes somewhere between 7 and 12 touch points before you get a sale. And that's usually a minimum number. I've seen research that suggests that number can be as high as 20 follow-ups, 20 touch points now before you actually book that sale. So remember, this is a big buying decision for most folks. This is not a one call close like you see in the movie Glengarry Glen Ross. But you should always be closing. ABC. It's such a great movie if you haven't seen it, kind of old school. But yeah, really stay consistent and persistent until you know the customer has gone in a different direction. Otherwise, you have nothing to lose by constantly staying in touch with them and staying top of mind with them. All right, everyone, we're at the top of the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for today. If you have any other questions, you weren't able to get your question into me, like I said, just follow up through the website. I'll be happy to send you an email response with an answer, jump on a phone call with you, whatever. But really, thank you for your time. I really appreciate the energy you bring. Great questions as well. Great engagement. I appreciate that. We'll have another webinar next month, of course. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I hope everyone has an amazing rest of their day. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care, and we'll see you on the next webinar.